The school bell rings, signaling the start of another normal day at Ghoul School. The students file into their classrooms, chatting about the weekend's Monster Mash dance or the latest episode of their favorite show, My Furry Tale. In one classroom, a zombie is reading a book while sitting in his desk. Next to him, a skeleton plays a video game on a computer while chewing on a bag of Doritos. A mummy sits across from them working on an art project. And next to her, a vampire struggles to put on a lab coat. They may look different, but these ghouls are just like any other monster high school students. When it comes to homework, Ghoul School isn't like other schools. The cafeteria serves brains, eyes, and other body parts for lunch. During recess, the students play kick the corpse instead of kickball, and detention is held in the dungeon. But despite all the differences, Ghoul School is a place where monsters can feel accepted and learn how to be the best versions of themselves, even if they have to learn those lessons the hard way. It was the first day of Ghoul School. A nervous Frankenstein girl named Cleo looks around at all the strange and scary creatures in her homeroom. She quickly hides under her desk as a werewolf boy named Heath runs past her, knocking over a trash can. Startled by the loud crash, a Cyclops boy trips over his own feet and lands on top of Cleo. As he apologizes profusely and tries to get off her, she introduces herself. And when she learns that he's new too, she offers to show him around. Soon they're joined by a zombie girl named Lacey, who invites them to sit with her and her friends. At first, Cleo finds the other ghouls fascinating. There's a mummy named Drake who has a really bad case of stage fright, a vampire named Zana who doesn't get along with her parents, and a gargoyle named Griswold who would rather be anywhere but school. But after hearing their problems, Cleo realizes that maybe they're not so different after all. She also discovers that being a ghoul isn't just about how you look, but also how you act. When she imitates a ghost by floating through the halls, she quickly learns that being a proper ghost takes a lot more effort than she thought. However, thanks to her new friends, Cleo starts to understand what it means to be a ghoul and learns to embrace her unique qualities. By the end of the day, she is even able to stand up to a bully and make him see things from her point of view. At the Monster Mash dance that night, Cleo feels like she finally belongs. During a school trip to the local amusement park, a group of ghoul students from Monster High encounter a group of humans and must find a way to hide their identities in order to avoid being exposed to the human world. Along the way, they learn about acceptance, tolerance, and the importance of staying true to who you are. On their way out of the school, the ghouls encounter a group of humans and Frankie immediately freezes in fear. According to Ghoul School rules, contact between humans and monsters is strictly forbidden. But the humans don't seem to mind. One of them even asks Frankie out on a date. Though she wants to say yes, Frankie knows she could never risk exposure. Suddenly, Cleo appears and distracts the humans long enough for Frankie to escape. Later, the two friends meet up with their classmates, Draculaura, Claudie, Laguna, and Deuce, who tells them about an upcoming party that they're all invited to. Although most of the ghouls are excited to go, Frankie is worried about running into more humans. At school, she and Cleo sneak into the library to try to find a book on human behavior. But they're interrupted by Headless Horseman, who's looking for someone to join him at the party. Although Frankie and Cleo politely decline his invitation, he insists and even offers to buy them both new spell books if they go. Once they arrive at the party, however, Frankie soon realizes that it's full of humans. To make matters worse, the humans begin to notice that something isn't quite right about the ghouls. Just as things start to get really scary, though, Headless Horseman arrives and scares all the humans away. Afterwards, Frankie realizes that he only invited them to the party so that they wouldn't be lonely. Touched by his kindness, she accepts his offer to go to the next one with him. Frankie Stein has always felt different from the other students at Monster High. Despite being the child of two well-known monsters, she is afraid she doesn't have any special powers and that she'll never be accepted by her peers. However, when a mysterious new student arrives at school, Frankie begins to realize that she's not as ordinary as she thought. The new student, a ghoul named Victor, doesn't seem to care about fitting in. He's rude to his teachers, disobedient to the headmistress, and doesn't even bother to hide his fangs or claws. As the other ghouls whisper and stare at him during class, Frankie feels a sense of kinship with him. She understands what it's like to feel like an outsider, and she's determined to befriend him. Victor, however, seems uninterested in making friends and spends most of his time alone. Frankie is undeterred and continues to try to befriend him, even though he often pushes her away. As time goes on, Frankie begins to notice strange occurrences happening around Victor. People's gravestones start moving on their own. Books fly off shelves and equipment in the science lab malfunction. She also starts seeing Victor using his powers to help others, such as when he uses his super strength to fix a broken swing set, and when he uses his speed to save a bird from a tree. Although she doesn't understand why he acts so differently around people, Frankie admires his ability to use his powers for good. One day, Frankie finds Victor in the library and finally asks him why he's been acting so strangely. Victor reveals that he has been hiding his powers because he does not want to be treated differently from the other ghouls. He thought that if he acted like a regular student, no one would ever know that he was a monster and he could live a more normal life. However, Frankie tells him that being a monster is a bad thing, and that she thinks he is special because of it. She also points out that trying to be normal has only caused problems for him, and that if he just embraces who he is, everyone will accept him. Victor considers this and eventually decides to come clean about his powers. He apologizes for acting so rudely towards the other ghouls and asks for their forgiveness. They forgive him and welcome him as one of them. Victor is overjoyed and realizes that he doesn't have to be ashamed of who he is. With his friends by his side, he's ready to face whatever challenges come his way. This Halloween, the students of Monster High are preparing for the annual Ghoul S Night Out event, when a group of humans accidentally stumbles upon the school. In order to cover up their tracks, the ghouls decide to hold a costume party instead. However, things take a scary turn when the humans discover a portal to the human world, and some of the ghouls decide to sneak through it and explore. Meanwhile, Draculaura, Cleo Denial, and Frankie Stein stay behind to try to fix the portal before the other ghouls come back. But they soon find themselves trapped in the human world as well. Now the three friends must rely on each other to survive in a world where they do you and belong. Along the way, they learn about friendship, bravery, and acceptance, as well as the importance of appreciating what makes them different. When a group of humans finds them, they believe that they're just three kids dressed up as monsters. So the trio decides to play along. However, they soon begin to enjoy their time in the human world and start to forget about returning home. That is until they're spotted by someone from Ghoul School who believes that they've been kidnapped. Now the ghoul must work together to save their friends and protect their school from being exposed